Hello, my Teaserking family. Sorry, I don't know what to do. I don't have the volume, but I got the volume now, so that's good. Let me send my Daria a picture. All right, sorry about that. So, interesting news. Sounds like the Ukraine war is unofficially over. The Ukrainian generals met with Putin and they signed some agreement saying, okay, you can have the Ukrainian territories on the Russian border. We get everything else, and let's stop fighting. And Putin agreed to it. Now it's a matter of just getting people to acknowledge it. Like, I don't even know. Well, I don't even know who the war is with. It's the U.S. against Russia, but the U.S. is running away, creating a war in Israel. So they don't, so they'll just forget about Russia. So I don't know, but hopefully it's over and hopefully I can get to Russia now. Anyway, just a second. Anyway, then there's some news we'll talk about on gold and silver from Egon and from Egon. Alligator was the host on Mark McGuire's show Friday. So I have some Mark McGuire and then what Alligator had with him. Very interesting, especially on silver. Silver is so fixed, but the difference is the central banks aren't buying silver. So it's going to take silver a bit longer to explode. But once gold goes up, people will want gold, can't afford it, will buy silver, which will make it go up. Anyway. So, football. Big day yesterday. Houston, Baltimore. Stroud did nothing. All you Stroud fans didn't show up. 3 points. Couldn't handle a blitz. I don't know what they think. They throw the ball 5 yards in front of them is a good play. Lamar looked terrible the first half, as I knew he would, because they didn't play for 3 weeks. So their whole offense was out of sync. Then in the second half, they started looking like I thought they'd look. This is the problem. When you don't play that last game and then you get the bye, you're off for 3 weeks. The Niners look like shit also. The way they were running the first half. So it takes that first half to get back your timing. So we have the Baltimore-Houston game over, 37.5. It gets to 41 on a late touchdown. Good. Well, all you Houston fans, I don't know what you're looking at. This is the key. When they go to Baltimore, you want to think they're a good team, go beat Baltimore. at least be competitive. You only scored on a punt return. Stroud, as I said, it looked like the Michigan game. Where is he? Where is he? Why doesn't he show up in the big game? So you want to, he looked good against Cleveland with Joe Flacco. Okay, fine. But as soon as he played at Baltimore on the grass, now you see what Stroud is. Okay, so enough said there. Lamar, he didn't really do anything. All he did was run yesterday. A few passes, but he was the same Lamar. He's weak. He runs. That's what he does. So he won't run on Kansas City. Frisco, Green Bay. I've got the over was 50. I went over 44 because they're both explosive. We got a huge rainstorm the whole fucking game, which I saw rain coming. I didn't know it would be that severe and all game. I loved this one. But I got there at the end. With the minute left, I got there. I got a miss from their kicker, the Michigan guy. That's the second big critical miss he's had so far. First one was against Cleveland to win the game. He choked, and he choked the outlet last night. He kicked it low, and they blocked it, which could have been fatal. They would have been 21-20, and then he could have kicked a field goal 23-21. But I like this because the total I had was 44, so I get to 45. Shouldn't have been this close. Green Bay, I saw some really bad marks. In the first quarter, Green Bay gets down to like the 10-yard line. It's like third and, I don't know, whatever, 3rd and 5, 2nd and 5. And they run it. It looks like the guy gets the first down, or he's just like this much close. They mark him a yard back. Then on the quarterback sneak on 4th and 1, he doesn't get close. I don't know what was going through the head of the Green Bay coach to do that play on that defense. You're out of your fucking mind. So he should have kicked the field goal there. So they were settling for field goals in the red zone, not touchdowns. But that's the difference between Frisco and Dallas, right? You think Dallas has a defense until you see Frisco's defense. So Frisco holds them down 7-6 at half. It really, while the kid makes the kick, it's 10. And then instead of going on 4th down, you kick a field. So I really should have had 6 more points, which could have been crucial. Second half, they light it up in the third quarter. Love looks okay until that last drive where he had his head up his ass, which is the problem. That's when you need him to score. When the game's on the line, that's what we look for. Not he looks good in the second quarter. Look at that pass, look at this pass, and then when the game's on the line in the fourth quarter, they need a field goal to tie because their kicker choked on another field goal. So there was 2 choke field goals, plus they didn't go for it on 4th down. Plus they didn't kick the field goal on 4th down. That's 9 points I'm losing. So I should have had at least a 50 in this game. So if the kicker makes it, it's 24-0. And I guarantee you Frisco does not go for 2. They kick the extra point. When you got the better team and the better defense, you don't fucking go for 2. You kick the extra point. Anyway, so great drive by Purdy. Looks like Montana. When the game's on the line and you need the drive, he gave you the drive. That's what you're looking for. He wins the game for you. That's the level you need to bet to be at with these quarterbacks. So you're all enthralled with Stroud, but where was he? And in this case, here's Purdy. Okay, we're down 21-17. We need the touchdown. We can't kick a field goal. Drives you down, scores, you win. That's why you like Purdy, and that's why you don't like Love, and that's why you don't like Stroud. And I doubt Lamar would have done that, but he runs. So we will see Lamar if he's any good. I heard Jimmy Johnson. Well, everybody thought he was just a runner playing back. Now he's a quarterback. Oh, really, Jimmy? What did he do yesterday? Did he throw a lot of good passes? No. Ran a lot, He's still a running quarterback. He does not look anything like Purdy, but for sure he don't look anything like Mahomes or Joe Burrow. Okay, he's not in that class as a quarterback. So I don't care what you're saying, Jimmy. You could cry all you want. You're wrong. So Frisco gets the win, and I don't know who's the first game, if it's the Frisco game or the Baltimore game next week. So if Detroit wins, they go to Frisco. If Tampa wins, they go to Frisco. So the winner of this game goes to Frisco. And the winner of the Buffalo KC game goes to Baltimore. Baltimore can beat Buffalo. They can't beat Kansas City. Frisco will beat either team. So my point is should be Frisco KC. Should be. We'll see how KC handles Buffalo today. But the wind's still 13 mile an hour. Let's see. So let's go through the line. We know all the stories. Well, my score, I had 31-20 Baltimore. They won 31-10. I had 34-24 Frisco. They won 24-21. Pretty fucking accurate. And more importantly, I had my overs. So I win my bets. And let's digest today. We've got the Lions 6.5, 49.5. Hasn't moved. And we got Buffalo 2.5, 45.5. So it's gone down a little. I think it's high because Kansas City's a really good under team, a really good defense, but enough Mahomes to win the game for you. So I guarantee you, if the game's close at the end, and Casey's down, and Casey's got the ball, Mahomes to Kelsey, touchdown, and they win the game, or a field goal, whatever. So we will see. However, I don't know that Allen can do that. Maybe he can, but I wouldn't trust him. So that's what you have. Let's check the weather. Well, it's only weather in Buffalo because Detroit's in a dome. The only questionable on Detroit Tampa is Laporta, the tight end. And KC Buffalo, everybody is playing. Well, Van Les Scantling is playing ahead of Tony. Why he wouldn't be there? He must have been hurt because he's better. It's 21 degrees in Buffalo with 11 mile an hour winds. So the winds are the calmest they've been. So they're not really a factor, 11 miles an hour. 21's pretty decent. I'm sure with the wind chill, it's probably 0. Should be a close game. So I've got Detroit 27-17. I've got Kansas City 23-20 today. Tampa's an under team. They don't score a lot. Mayfield, 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Goff's an over team. They score a lot, but their defense sucks. And they are 31-12. Now, I go by statistics. They give up they give up 27 points a game. That's not a good defense. I see Jefferson catching 200 yards 3 weeks ago, and then the last week of the season, I see CeeDee Lamb getting 200 yards on 25 catches. It's not a good defense. Better against the run, but how do you say you have a good defense and you're letting a guy catch the ball 20 times for 200 yards? And he's the only receiver they got, and you're letting him catch the ball. So lesson learned here is Detroit wants to play it like a high school team. They want to get all rah-rah and emotional. We saw last week, the first half, they were good, 21-17. Second half, they were flat, and they only scored 3 points. And they got a break on no pass interference, or they lose the game. Funny, I saw the same play last night. I think San Francisco did the same thing to Green Bay, and they called interference. So funny how that works. At this point, it's going to come down to quarterbacking and defense, like it always does. So the best quarterback in the games are Mahomes. And he's a dog, and that's your free pick. And in Detroit, Goff and Mayfield are pretty even. They both Goff's a big choker. Mayfield, I don't know about. Believe me, if Goff is any good. The Rams, why did the Rams get rid of him? If he couldn't play with Sean McVay, what the hell? I mean, I don't know why the Lions picked him up, but they should get rid of him and start playing hooker or draft Caleb or somebody. Tampa, I don't know. I mean, their defense is a 23. It's not great. Mayfield's not great. I mean, I'm not betting Mayfield to win a game for me, so that's why I can't take Tampa. The over-under in the game is 49. I think it's an under game. I don't think Tampa, brings defense, but I don't think they bring offense. I don't think they're going to score enough with Mayfield to get you over 43. And well, maybe. I got 27-17 to 44. They just barely get it, but I don't want to bet a barely get it over. Even though I barely got Frisco Green Bay over, these were both explosive teams yesterday. Here you have an under team. Tampa doesn't score. They score 20 points a game. And only because they played Philadelphia did they score a lot. But then I remember the 9-0 win over Carolina. So they're really inconsistent. They beat Green Bay like 38-22 or something like that, like 3-4 weeks ago. Then I think they beat New Orleans, and then they play Carolina for the title, and they win 9-0. And there wasn't turnovers. I don't know what happened. A lot of punts. I went through the box score. You can go through drives and see, what they did. Punt, fumble, went for fourth down. They didn't go for fourth downs. They didn't. They had one interception or one fumble by the quarterback, but it was all punt, 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 punt. Now, was it a pouring rainstorm? I'm not aware of. But I don't really trust Tampa. Now, Tampa is the play as far as Green Bay was the best play. They were like 9-0 as a road dog. They came through. Tampa's a very good road dog. Also, Detroit's a good home favorite. It kind of cancels it. Tampa is 15-3 in a teaser this year. I think Tampa 12.5, 13 wins, but I don't think they win the game. So I think, they lose by 10. They lose by 7, I think is about right. Detroit plays emotional, so it's really hard to bet against them at home the way they play emotional. The Baltimore game, they did lose to Seattle at home, and they did lose to Green Bay at home. They lost at Chicago and at Baltimore. And they had such a weak schedule, it was pathetic. And they lost at Dallas. And, I'm tired of everybody blaming the ref. It didn't matter. Whatever number he told, Green Bay is who they covered. So don't if he tells you number 70 and 60 catches the ball and it would have been it wouldn't have been a 2-point conversion because they would have covered 68 if the ref said 68. So the Lions basically cheated and tried to get away with it. But then I was watching yesterday, and there was 2 guys that said they were eligible. So why didn't the Lions just say, oh, wait, 68's also eligible? I don't understand that. But anyway, Detroit should win the game today. Can we trust them? Maybe. I don't trust Goff. I know he's a choke, so I don't really trust him. Mayfield, I certainly don't trust. I think it's just Detroit at home. Again, Tampa's an under team playing an over team, so it's a really confusing pick. I think I played Detroit slightly. My biggest bet was Kansas City with San Francisco over. So the big play today is Kansas City plus the 9. Now, how do you bet teasers and money management? So my big bet is Kansas City, San Francisco, as I deciphered it to be. So the teams I have in 2 teasers. So you find your best play and you bet it for the most. And if I lose the Lion play, it's okay. I got Kansas City with San Francisco. And then I put Kansas City with Detroit. So it's in 2 teasers. But when you find your game, that's what you do. You put it in 2 teasers. You bet it more. Because hopefully I win both games. I won both games yesterday. But the one I really need is the Kansas City, and Frisco came through. And then I had Frisco with the Baltimore over. So definitely didn't want to play against Green Bay late 3.5. That scared me. And I was more scared with Baltimore Houston taking Baltimore than the over. Now I did take the over. And the only reason it went over is because of the punt return. Otherwise, as I said, Stroud didn't show up. You can't just forget the Michigan games like they didn't happen or nothing. They got blown out of both of them. That's what you got in Stroud. So you want to ignore those games, fine, but you can't. You can't just ignore that Tagliabue got killed by LSU and Burrow and whoever lost to Georgia. You can't ignore that, right? People want to ignore that. Can't. It happens, and that's the problem with it. So with that said, we think Detroit at home because I think Tampa's offense is too weak. They have a decent defense, but the better team here is Detroit. They're an over, so they'll score. I think if it comes down to it, Detroit scores to win it. Bobby Bo, how are you, sir? Interesting silver news, and the war's over in Russia. So the Detroit just has the best. I think if it's getting to that end, Detroit will find a way and score, and the spread's even. If the spread was 10, I would never touch Detroit. But it's even, so I can touch Detroit to win at home. Yeah, they're emotional. And then it ends because then they got to go to the Niners. Forget about it. At KC, we're taking Mahomes, and that's all. Yeah, but I had the over, so I escaped the over. And when they got the touchdown, because of all the bad field goal kicking. That guy from Michigan sucks. That's the second big kick he's missed this year. Purdy. He looked good, and they gave it to McCaffrey. They gave it to Money. That was the right play. Well, McCafferty's the man. But that's why we bet. If you got McCafferty, Purdy, Debo got hurt. He looked like he got hit in the head. I didn't understand his shoulder injury. And they said he'll try to play next week, which is not good. He'll be back for the Super Bowl. But it was a cheap shot by that guy. And they didn't call a penalty, hit him in the helmet. So they'll call like hitting a defensive player like an illegal block, but if you hit the guy with your helmet in the helmet, that's perfectly fine. I don't understand the rules. So again, I like Detroit 27-17. It's a tough over because Tampa just doesn't score a lot, and Detroit's going to be like they're in high school, and they'll play emotional, and then they'll be flat in the fourth quarter like last week. And you got to bet Mahomes is the dog. That's all. That's period. That's the best player getting points. That's it. There's no way Buffalo beats them 44-0. If you think that, you're doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't be betting football. But that's that's what I got. They handled Miami's offense, and Josh Allen is not the greatest quarterback either. All right, so that is that. I hear Belichick has had another interview with Atlanta, so he can go screw up Atlanta. Mac Jones is better than Atlanta's quarterbacks, Riddler and whoever else. I don't know what they're thinking in Atlanta. Like, they're buying into this GOAT thing. He's only a GOAT if he has Brady. Without Brady, he's a chump. So anyway, so yesterday, 2 winners: Baltimore over, Frisco over, and now today we got Detroit and Kansas City is the dog. The draft we talk about, so the top 5 quarterbacks are Daniels, LSU, Caleb, USC, Hartman at Notre Dame, Joe Penix, Washington, Bo Nix at Oregon are by far the top 5 quarterbacks. This Drake May, you got to be kidding me. Where he's coming from, I have no idea. He is not he's not a star quarterback. He's not even one that should be drafted. He's like Pickett or he's another whatchamacallit, the other guy from North Carolina who's on he's on Pittsburgh, but Pickett and the other guy, Trubisky. They thought they were good because they went to the Peyton Manning quarterback camp. Obviously, Peyton doesn't know how to coach. So these guys both suck, but they both went to. And so Daniel Jones, the quarterback on the Giants, went to the Peyton Manning camp, and look how good he is. So I don't see Drake May being anywhere near those guys. Why you would pick him in the first with the first picks? You're obviously shouldn't be a GM in football. You obviously don't know anything about football. You don't know what you're looking for. You're just fucking clueless. Okay. The running quarterbacks, how did they do? Oh, yeah, by the way, Purdy doesn't really run. Mahomes really doesn't run. Josh Allen runs a little, but he's more of a passer now. Goff doesn't run. Mayfield really doesn't run. Oh, yeah, Lamar runs. How did he do? Oh, yeah, he threw, what did he have, 5 completions yesterday? So that's what it is. Well, I can't. I hope the doctor lets him play next year. I mean, this is insane. He's back for another year. He's definitely the best quarterback out there next year. He's the best quarterback this year if he could have played. I am very worried about Caleb being any good. I think I'd draft the guy who played in the what is it, the San Diego Bowl, who threw for 6 touchdowns. I'd rather have that guy than Drake May. I mean, come on. It's the system, USC. There you go, Bobby. Well, according to Jimmy Johnson, he's a quarterback, and I'm like, Jimmy, what game are you watching? He didn't throw anything. It was all running. Then he threw the pass for the touchdown. All he did was throw it high, and the tight end, who's like 12 feet tall, caught it. That's all he did. Just got his first Bowman card autograph, PSA 10. So nice. Who? Rising? He was way too overhyped. Well, it's because he's a running quarterback. They all want to make it sound like that. Thanks for getting me into sports cards. Yeah, well, it's an asset. And the key, so let's look at it from an economic standpoint. Why do we like this card? Because there's a market for it. A, it's Mahomes. B, there's only 50 of them. This is an asset, but there's a huge market because it's Mahomes. And if he wins this Super Bowl, it goes up even more. And B, there's only 50. That's what we don't want these cards where there's a million of them, right? There's too many, it's too much supply, and you can't get enough demand. Here, you only have 50 supply. So to get 50 people who like Mahomes is a joke. We got 50 people on here who likes Mahomes. So what you're looking for is a market, right? That's how you sell things, right? I sell my Canadian club. If somebody will buy it, that's a market. So in sports cards, you're thinking what the market is. And the market's Mahomes and Bobby Bo, of course, and Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle and Mahomes and of course Brady. So that's what you're really looking at, is something with the market that's demanded, but it's got to be limited if you want value, just like money. Medium of exchange has to be scarce for high value. So you're interested in scarce things that are highly demanded, and that's sports cards. And, Rolex, things like that. Let's see. But you're welcome, Nick. It is fun. I did it years ago, but it gets down to, make sure you buy some Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Mantle cards also. I don't necessarily dislike Lamar, but I just get annoyed with those dumb animals acting like he's so special and on Mahomes' level. Well, that's why Mahomes will beat him next week, and then we'll know who's the man. Are you getting good silver? Yeah, Nick has gold and silver, I believe. No, yeah, I know he's got some. I don't know what and how much, but I know he's got some. You forgot to show my card profile. Nah, I got it here, Bobby Bo. Here it is, the Bobby Bo rookie card. We got to get the market. We got to create the market. So you can see it's his rookie card out of the Dunros. It's gem mint condition. You can see it's centered. You can see the corners are nice. You can see the back's nice. This would probably get a 10. There's not a big enough market for Bobby Bo, unfortunately, because he didn't hit 600 homers. So how do you develop the market? Well, you win Super Bowls and MVPs, or you hit 750 home runs. I mean, that's how the market's created. So Bobby, being a great player, didn't have the home runs to create that market, or 4,000 hits like Pete Rose. I think he should go back until he gets 4,000 hits. And I think he could easily do it with the pitching they have now. But that's what you're trying to do. No, I always have the Bobby Bo card right here with me. Yeah, there's a nice Jim Brown 1958 card that you should add in your collection. I got the 59 I've shown, but yeah, the older football is not as pretty as the older baseball. I mean, you have Jim Brown, Gale Sears, but you had Mantle and Mays and Aaron and Clemente and Koufax and Gibson. You didn't really, Pete Rose. You don't really have that in football as much until you get Namath. You got to get his cards and Dick Butkus, Sayers. and Unitas and Bart Starr. And, some of the Packers. I got a bunch of really mint condition '68 Green Bay Packers, Willie Davis and Herb Adderley and those guys. So they're not that valuable, but because they're Packers and they won 5 titles, they are a lot more valuable than just getting, guys from San Francisco and LA or anything. But it is, because we like sports, it does have a nice value to it. But now it becomes, you got to get them graded, and they got to be limited, and they got to be stars. Don't waste your time. That's why I tell you, Nick, don't buy the guys that we really, maybe they'll do something, but maybe they won't. So I like Dak Prescott. I wouldn't I wouldn't spend $5 on his card. And I wouldn't get Lamar. He'll never win a Super Bowl. But you go after Burrow. Now, Burrow he's been to the Super Bowl already, and he will if he stays healthy. I think with the group coming up, I think this Daniels from LSU, I think I would take a little flyer on him, depending on what team he goes to. And, Nix and Penix will do good. Caleb will probably end up at Washington, so forget him. I mean, you got to watch what team they go to. Like this kid at Carolina, I mean, I wouldn't spend 5 cents on his card. The guy's terrible. Anyway, Professor, yes, Bobby Bo. I have my investment pieces, Burrow, Brady, Mahomes, and my hobby pieces like Raiders. Yeah, I mean, there's a 71, 72. There's a Stabler rookie card you could probably get. Blitnikoff, he's in the 60s. You get that card pretty cheap. PSA 10, if you can find it. Cliff Branch, those guys. If you can find those. Jack Tatum. I mean, who wouldn't want Jack Tatum's card? Jack Tatum couldn't even play now. Do you realize he'd clothesline somebody and they'd throw him out of the game? And he'd be like, but that's how I learned at Ohio State. So, yeah, but I mean, I would say Namath is the biggest card to get of the old ones, and Jim Brown. So like I showed you, I got the 59 Jim Brown card, and he just died. So it's like paintings. That card will be worth a fortune. Anyway, nice rookie card hobby. It's, again, get market cards. Get cards that everybody wants and limited. So, 100 people want 100 people want this card. The value is going up and up and up because there's only 50 of them. Unlike the U.S. dollar. Thanks, Nick. Unfortunately, I didn't do steroids, or else it would be worth a lot more. Pete Rose didn't do steroids, Bobby. I don't think Willie Mays did. Mantle just drank himself every night. Professor, do you think Tampa has a shot today? I think they have a shot. I think they're a very strong road dog in the trends. Okay. I think Detroit they'll be like a high school game. It'll be like an Oklahoma-Texas game. They'll be all charged up in the beginning, and the crowd will be all excited. But like last week, they had a 21-17 lead at half, and they only kicked a field goal in the second half. So I think Tampa can backdoor in a teaser, but they are very strong as a road dog. So keep that. They're like 8-0 or 9-0 as a road dog this year. Now, beating Philadelphia doesn't, all they did was blitz Jalen Hurts. Now, if they continue with that and blitz Goff will have 3 interceptions today also. However, that works against Lamar, and that works against everybody but Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Burrow, the blitz, because they know how to read it. And that's what I keep my contention is, that all these running quarterbacks, and you saw what Jalen Hurts, he didn't show up because they blitzed him every fucking play. So if Tampa does that, I think they can win. Detroit will have to run on them, and Detroit's defense, Evans and Godwin and that new guy from Nebraska, you draft a receiver from Nebraska, Palmer, I think. They'll have a big day. Evans should have a big day because their defense can't stop the wind. It's just if Hutchinson can get there. So you worry a little Mayfield. His ankle's still bothering him. His ribs still bothering him. And God knows if they have to go to the backup, they're in trouble. Well, no, Trask should be starting. I'm surprised he's not. And then you got Tampa's coach, who's a moron. So we will see. But they, I remember a game years ago when Tampa wore the orange, and they came into Detroit. Detroit was 7-point favorites, and Tampa walked out with like a 20-0 win. So, can we trust Goff? Absolutely not. Do we trust the coach? Absolutely not. Detroit's beating a bunch of nobodies. Now that we see how bad Dallas is, and they lost to Dallas, then it really shows you. I think with the points, you get 12 and a half, 13 points. I think it's okay bet. I've got Detroit even because I don't trust Mayfield, and like I said, at home they're going to be emotional, but I think I'm giving you 27-17, so it's a 10-pointer. But it could be 27-20, would not surprise me. I don't know total on this game. Tampa with the defense. Detroit might run the ball more because Goff's going to choke. How as strong as Tampa's defense is pretty good. So could be a lot of field goals in the game. The key game is Kansas City. And as I said, I played them last night with the Niners over and got the win at the end with McCaffrey, thank God. And I didn't realize it was going to rain like buckets the whole fucking game. And then Purdy can't throw a wet ball. What the fuck is that? But he kept throwing the ball high. I'm like, just hit the guy. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, so I had KC with San Francisco over, and then today I got KC with Detroit, but very small because I don't trust Detroit. However, the way they've been playing at home, I think they win a close one and then get killed by the Niners next week. Yeah, Bobby, in a teaser. Well, that's all I do is teasers. You know why? Because if I play a game straight, let's say I play Tampa in 6 and they lose by 10, I am so pissed off because I know better. Why aren't I playing a teaser? I could have had 12 points and had a winner. I turn a lot. Look at so the over and the under, and then the Frisco game was 50. I have over 44. The game ends 45. I turn a loser into a winner. Same thing with the Baltimore game. I have the game over. What was it? 43. I got over 37, and it ends 41. I would have lost both bets if I didn't tease them. But because I teased them, I turned them around. And that's that one guy, Dr. Football. You know, you got to win 2 games in a teaser. Yeah, so I won both games because of the teaser that I would have lost both games. So I turned losers into winners because I studied teasers and I studied the 6 points. So I know which way to go on it, and that's the thing. So I bet everything in a teaser because if I don't, I think the last game I didn't bet in a teaser was Michigan-Ohio State. The game was at Michigan, and it was it was 1975, and Michigan, the game couldn't end in a tie. So I'm getting 6 points. I don't tease it. That's the line. It was Archie Griffin and that. And the game's tied. Michigan, of course, throws an interception. And at the end, so the game's like tied. Then Ohio State scores with a minute left to win 21-14. And I got 6 without a teaser. And that was the last game I bet where I didn't take the teaser. Because that was an easy win getting 12. And I got 6 because I didn't think I needed a teaser. And it's 10-10. I'm going to win it, but Michigan couldn't end in a tie and go to the Rose Bowl. So they had to win the game. So Rick Leach is like, he don't even know what color he's throwing the ball to. So he threw it to Ohio State. And instead of taking the knee as they would have, they ran Pete Johnson in. But so I only do teasers because it increases my odds to win, number one, so I can bet more. And number two, if I don't and I lose by 2 or 3, I am really pissed. Nick, is this the real Bobby Bow? I definitely think it is. I mean, let's put it this way, Nick. If you're going to come on to a YouTube site and pretend to be somebody besides Kenzie Reeves, who, is a movie star, why would you pick Bobby Bow? You would pick Joe Montana, or I'm Mahomes. So it's kind of like weird that somebody would pick Bobby Bow if it wasn't Bobby Bow. So I fully believe it's Bobby Bow. We'll talk baseball, and he'll mention things that he's got to be Bobby Bow to do. So I definitely think it is. We will, we won't know, but in my mind, I'm talking to Bobby Bow. In his mind, he gets to talk to the professor. Jack Tatum would be banned from the league nowadays. Yeah, well, that's the problem. You want to see football is hitting. You want to see the hits. And they're trying to say, well, we don't want to hit. Let's make it safe. Let everybody wear dress. How about the Pro Bowl is flag football? What in God's name is that? What the fuck are you doing with flag football? Now I know the league's lost it. When they're doing flag football, they're out of their fucking minds. So I won't watch that. I won't watch any of the Pro Bowl. And I'm sick of these Mannings. Oh, my God. Oh, Peyton will be this and that. And he went to the Peyton Manning camp. Well, Peyton Manning was a fucking choke. He won one Super Bowl because the Bears were his opponent. And the other one he won because he couldn't complete a pass over 10 yards. But Denver had this great defense. And they were playing Carolina. So I don't look at him like a Brady or a Rodgers or a Drew Brees or anybody. I don't know. It's like I said, Nick, I don't know how this is not Bobby Bow. I show him his rookie card. I get the acknowledgement. It's him looking at his rookie card. I don't know. What's he got to gain by not being Bobby Bow? There's no scam here. This isn't. I give him money because he's Bobby Bow. I hope. He's in Tampa. I don't know if that's where Bobby Bow lives, but I know it's you from Twitter, in our emails, and I know Luke because I actually met Luke in the airport talking to Gold with my friend in Alabama, and he overheard me, so we had a nice hour-long chat about gold and silver in the airport. So I know Luke's Luke, and I know you, and I assume Bobby's Bobby because I don't know who else would, why would you use Bonilla instead of Mahomes? So I'm going to trust, I trust it's Bobby because I don't have a reason not to. What's the reason not to trust him? I'm not sending him money and for gold or anything like that. So I think it is, but it'd be strange to, be like, I'm some guy, I'm Mark Belanger. Like who would use Mark Belanger unless it was actually Mark Belanger or something? So yeah, I think it is. So anyway, what we're talking about is basically marketing. It's basically the demand. So if it's sports cards is an asset. But what sport cards are good are the limited ones and the popular ones. So with the money, we can see the problems with it. It's printed way too much. It's like It's like the Reggie Jackson card that there's a million of, right? This has a value of $1. Now Reggie's in the Hall of Fame, and Reggie hit Jesus. In 1986, Reggie already had 548 home runs. I don't know. I think he finished with 600 or something. But because they printed so many, that card has a $5 value. It doesn't have a $1,000 value. And there's a lot of Reggie cards. So what's happening as we see, there's two things I want to show you. So this is Alligator telling us Bobby, just stop to say hi to some family here, but back on and see Nick's question. Think he wants to know the hospital too. Yeah, it's funny. There's so many scams. Well, like Kenzie, right? Is that really Kenzie? And I don't think it is. And I hear these scammers, and I ask her for a picture, which she can't provide me. So I don't believe it. And she wants money. So I'm pretty sure it's a scam. But I don't know. I just I assume you're you. Why would you not be you? And what do you gain by pretending to be Bobby Bo? When you look at the plot, it makes no sense. Like I said, if somebody said I'm Pat Mahomes, then I would think, well, aren't you getting ready for the game? Then I would question that more. It'd be great if he was on or Drew Brees stopped by. If Drew Brees came on, I would believe it's Drew Brees. I mean, I don't know. I don't think these guys have time, and who the hell is going to fake it? So, yeah, I don't get why wouldn't you be you? I don't understand that. All right. This is a quick alligator from Friday's Mark McGuire show. He's the guest, so I listened to it. And he's basically saying the war in Ukraine's over.
Zelensky is cut out of it. Guess what? Ukraine basically will end up. It's the armies are talking to each other now, not the politicians. Zelensky is cut out of it. They will come to an agreement, and I think the agreement, quite simply, and as I understand it, this has already been floated across Putin, and he agrees with it, that Russia will get those eastern states, the Russian Donbass, they will get those. They will effectively, call an end to this on the back of that, and they're quite happy to do that. They won't start, saying things about NATO's got to get out and No, politicians are out of this. So Biden is going to, having abandoned Afghanistan, which was his first act on becoming president, he's now going to be chucked out of. They're trying to keep quiet about that, but that's actually what is happening. How do we get out of this without anybody noticing is basically what they're saying in the White House. And at the same time, you've now got this Israeli situation, which is getting completely out of control. Blinken's running around the Far East trying desperately to get this thing cooled down with no success whatsoever. And I think, unfortunately for him, the respect that he's getting from his interlocutors around the Middle East, I think is just getting less and less and less. That's all that's happening.
So
Ukraine basically will end up. It's the armies are talking to each other now, not the politicians.
So, to me, the war is over unofficially. Biden won't sign anything. So, what do you have there? So, that's what I'm getting out of it, is the war is over. They'll probably stop fighting, and they've agreed to give Putin his they agreed to give Putin whatever he wanted, and he's going to end it.
That's free. So he was happy to read the disclaimer.
When get a collapse in.
So hopefully I can fly to Russia soon, but I'm not holding my breath soon, but that should clear it up. Now, will they let people like me get a Russian visa to go visit Daria? I don't know. Daria got her internet back, so I was happy. She did email me Thursday. My email's out. I can't read your messages on WhatsApp. I guess it was an internet problem, which is now fixed. So this morning she texted me, okay, everything's back, and she WhatsApped me. So I was very happy that because we were emailing, but you never know if she's getting the emails and if she can read the emails, and because how much English does she really know? Anyway, so I'm a happy boy again. And then it's just a matter of getting back to meeting her in Turkey or Russia. So there was a Egon one, but he really doesn't say much. He talks a little bit about Bitcoin, that it's just an investment. It's like a penny stock, basically. Bitcoin's like a penny stock. It's not backed by anything. It'll probably go to zero. It could go up a little, like a penny stock, could go from $1 to $5, and you'd make a lot of money in it. And then at the end of the day, it ends up at zero. So that's what you could have. So here, I'm going to share this silver one with you. I know, Bobby, you ask a lot about it.
Came across Shane. It was because he was a massive silver buyer, buying silver on a regular basis. I mean, in large volumes. It was stacked in vaults all over the place.
Yeah.
So yes. Aside from Shane, we have a lot of people, obviously, who are buying gold as a protection.
Yeah.
And so, your thoughts on silver as a transactional medium, for example?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is that silver seems to me to be a thoroughly rigged market. It is the best conductor. It is, I think, more than lithium almost, the must-have metal for, this fossil-free future, for all the power generation, the solar panel, whatever. Silver is going to continue to be in huge, huge demand. The way that this price rigging works, it seems to me, is that the big buyers, the processors, as it were, they will take silver direct from the mines in the form of doré. And I think China is probably guilty of this. I mean, when I say guilty, of course, this is the way they would do it to get the best value out of it.
So real quickly to stop that, now we know, he just said, who keeps COMEX down? So when we ask the question, why is COMEX low? Why are they doing the derivatives? Who gains by the low price? Bingo, it's China. China gains the most by gold and silver being derivative down, and they buy it. They obviously pay JP Morgan to write the derivatives. They're the ones who win when JP Morgan does these derivatives on gold and silver. So we now know where it's coming from to keep the price low, because the price is low for the buyers. Now, we've got to be buyers to play the game. Our problem is we want it to go up now. Okay, we bought, now we want it to go up. Well, wait, we're still going to let you buy more. And that's what you've got to understand, is we buy more gold and silver now, not worrying about the price, but we're able to, because of China, get this ridiculously low $25 silver price and $2,100 gold price, which is extremely low. People don't understand that, but I'm telling you, you're getting the deal of a lifetime there. You'll take care of your family and friends very soon. So we've always wondered who's keeping it low. We thought Russia too, probably, but we know China is the real culprit of keeping COMEX cheap. I'm sure they pay JP Morgan to do it. And they keep writing these derivatives which short the market. Now, the difference is in gold, they need to actually have physical gold because of the Basel III, that you need gold physical to sell the derivative. So that's why it's drying up and it's almost gone. However, silver does not have Basel III. So you don't need silver. So they could say, I want to send 10 million ounces of silver, even though there's only 250,000 tons or 550,000 tons of it. Well, I'm going to sell, 1 billion tons of it. Well, there isn't that many. How can you do that? That's why. So China can buy it because they use it. It's a part of like building a house. You need wood, right? So you want the wood cheap so you can build the house. So for the battery, the solar, the electric batteries, the solar panels, the computers, whatever it is, he just said silver's the best thing for it. So they want the price low on silver because when they build the car battery, if silver is 2,000 an ounce, it's going to jack the price up of the battery, and they don't want that. They want the battery part of the car. And that's really the problem because it's industrial. However, once gold goes, and he'll say that, silver will go too. Well, I mean, did you not think it was Bobby? I mean, who did you think would be Bobby Bowe? I mean,
because it is essentially an industrial metal. I mean, this, it's been demonetized. It was demonetized basically.
We're still talking silver.
Franco-Prussian War in the 1870s. Which is why instead of the gold-silver ratio being in the region of sort of 15, we're now looking at close to 90. But the way in which this works is that doré and even silver bars are delivered in quantity, not through the market, but by going directly to the producers and queuing up. And they do the same with gold as well, incidentally. Queuing up and then, if you like, paying a price which depends on the paper market. And guess what? You can rig the paper market and keep the price down. This is actually a problem throughout the entire commodity complex. It's just that it's more visible with silver than almost anything else. People think that markets are efficient and they work and all the rest of it. You're looking at the prices being set by the marginal demand and supply. But if the demand and supply isn't actually going through the market, and the demand and supply in the market is purely for paper, then this is not necessarily the correct price. The other thing I would say is that...
So that's why when I say silver at 25 and gold at 2,000 isn't the correct price, now we're on the same page now. That's why I say $50,000 gold and 2,000 silver, because the price of 25 and 2,000 are fantasy land. They're not the real price because of these derivatives. So I have already caught on to that 2 years ago. And so, like I said, when I go buy an ounce of gold for 2,000, I'm dancing out of the store going, I just bought a $20,000 ounce of gold for fucking 2,000. Or silver's even better. I bought a $2,000 ounce for 20. So keep in mind that $25 price, $2,000 are not real prices. They're much, much higher, but you're able to buy them low. That's why you keep buying it. So in Nick's place, if he wants the Joe Burrow rookie card and it's $1,000, that's the real price. But in Comac's world, he'd be buying it for $25. So that's what silver is. The Joe Burrow 25 count PSA 10 that goes for $1,000, but they're doing derivatives to keep it at 25. So he's buying the Burrow card for $25. It's worth $1,000. The difference is you don't really know silver's worth $1,000 unless I tell you that. All right.
Silver, while it has been demonetized officially, I mean, you won't get a central bank accumulating silver as part of its reserves. That's really what I mean. But it has always been, if you like, regarded as the metal, the money for smaller quantities. And I think in English law, going back to the 19th century, we were looking at something like silver was acceptable money for amounts of under £10. So that's the sort of relationship that it has with gold. And on that basis, I think that as the paper, our fiat currency system comes under attack, then we will see a tendency for people to, if you like, begin to price some moneyness back into silver. And it tends to be twice as volatile, roughly, as gold. So if the gold price is going up, in other words, paper is going into the toilet, I think you'll find that the price of silver will probably go up almost twice as quickly. We need to, I think, conquer this $2,000 level in gold. Once we're clear of that, I think the world and his wife is going to turn around and say, we haven't got any gold. What's going on? Should we have some? What's it all about? Why? Yeah. And, they don't want to miss the boat. They don't, and they probably sold it. They probably sold it at, say, 1880, which is the thing you mentioned earlier, or whatever. I mean, if you're Gordon Brown, you sold it at $250. But anyway, we'll pass over that one. Well, I mean, look, he's a Keynesian. He was taught his Keynesian economics by who was the chap who was his chancellor, ex-Goldman Sachs guy, who's now. Anyway.
Yes, I know who you mean.
Ed Balls, that's it. Ed Balls. Ed Balls, who used to write. He used to write for the Financial Times. He was, along with that guy Wolf. He was just absolute Keynesian. Denied Say's law. The whole thing. And that's where Gordon Brown got it all from. So that's why he sold gold at $250. And that's why he sold the IMF in the wake of the great financial crisis, to reduce its gold, to give the proceeds to, countries which had suffered from the great financial crisis, like sort of emerging markets and all the rest of it. And they sold it, most of it, to India. But anyway, that's by the by. So, where can one go with all this? I mean, I hate the idea of a collapse of fiat currencies, Andrew, because it is going to impact on everybody. But the longer this goes on, the worse the whole situation is. We're losing our freedoms, which are all part of the suppression, if you like, of the symptoms of, the mess that governments are creating. This power has to be effectively taken from them by reality. And so in that sense, I would welcome an end to this charade. And let's just get some sound money back. And incidentally, Russia are in a position to do this. They can do this. Think Russian for a moment. You're a businessman in Russia. Sound money means that you know what you're going to be paid for. You can do your planning. And what happens to interest rates? At the moment, they're 16%. What happens to interest rates under a gold, with a proper working gold standard? Well, the answer is they come down to something like 2 or 3%. I mean, sense is going to come back into the Russian economy. And not only that, but the level of income tax is 13%. I said 13, not 30, 13, rising to a maximum of 15%.
So what is he saying? He's saying, he's not saying, will gold go over, get away from 2,000 and go up to 3,000. He's saying, when will it go over? And then he's saying, as that goes, people will want to buy gold, which is my Titanic theory. So basically, you're in the Titanic, it hits the iceberg. Me and Bobby know that the water's coming in the ship, it's going to sink. We get the hell off the lifeboat at the point it hits. That's action, reaction, right? For every action, there's a reaction. The boat hits the iceberg, we're going to sink. We get out. The money, you fuck up and you print and print and print, it's going to zero. The reaction is to buy gold. That's the real. But what's happening is most people don't know to buy gold. Thank you, Bobby. So that's what Alligator's just saying. He's saying, oh, wait, we don't own any gold, should we? Because 99% of the world have no clue about gold or money or finance or anything. So they're sitting there going, what do we do? Hey, gold's up to 3,000. We better buy it. And then people will start flooding in, which is what I'm saying. That's how we get to 50,000. people will start flooding in, raising the price. And there's not a lot of supply of gold because the Russians and Chinese have 100,000 of the 250,000 tons. So there's not a lot left. And all the central banks that are joining BRICS must bring gold in for the gold-backed currency. So what's happening is as people go to buy gold, because they start realizing the money's worthless and the gold price is going up, they might not realize the money's worthless, but they'll realize gold's going up. Because when I go to the coin store, the owner comes to me because he knows I'm an economist. He says, what's going on? When the gold price goes down, nobody comes in except for you. When the gold price goes up, everybody comes in to buy gold. I says, because they don't know. They're acting on emotion. They see the price going up. They don't want to get left behind. When they see the price going down, they don't want to buy it because they think, oh, it's going to go to zero, because they have no fucking clue what's going on. And we know with all derivatives raising and lowering it. So when the price goes down, it's a sale. We buy more. That's why I am in the store when it goes down, because I know it's going up. So as people start buying the gold at 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000, they won't be able to afford that much, but they'll realize silver is also money. Even though it's used for this industrial use, for the computer and the cell phone and the electric batteries and the solar panels, because it's really the best metal to have to make something with, they'll start to realize silver's also money. Gold's getting too expensive. And that's what I'm saying. Then everybody will run into silver. And the key is silver's so cheap, they'll buy, give me, 100 ounces at a time. Or like Luke, he bought the box, right? So when the price is low, they'll buy that one because they'll know gold and silver are money. And as he said, the introduction, that the Shane guy, I don't know what he does here except for introduce Mark McGuire. He says he's got vaults of silver. So he's crying, wanting it to go up. But he doesn't realize there's too much of it, but it will go. Now, it goes up quicker because it's $25. So, of course, to go from 25 to 100, you do a four-bagger to get there, where you're not going to do four baggers on gold. It's not going to go from 2 to 8. It'll go 2 to 3 to 5 to 10, but it won't just go 2 to 8. And silver will go from 25 to 100 very easily. So that's where I'm saying $2,000 gold, silver is very conservative, as is $50,000 of gold. And then it won't be priced in money. And that's what you've got to be prepared for. And you've got to understand there will not be a price in dollars of gold and silver. It will be worth a lot more than that. And that will be the key. Plus, it's freedom. You won't be in these, whatever the government wants to control you with. And I heard something on CDs. They won't happen. They're just trying to get it out there, but nobody wants it. And it's not ready. The central banks cannot issue CBCDs. At best case, the bank would do it, but central banks only talk to banks, not the people. All right, so let's get back to okay. Where is Luke, by the way? He has been attending. Yeah, he was on the other day. I did a night class, and he was there. And I said, Bobby's looking for you. But he did come on, and he's, when's gold going up? This old little game. Hope he didn't go selling all his metals for being impatient. No, he didn't sell them. General Chow, no, I didn't go to Chinese last night. I actually had made hamburgers, and I wanted to be home for the football games. The reason I go Saturday night is because it's closed today. So I might go like Monday or Tuesday afternoon. I might go pick up Chinese. Then, part of it I was working, so it's hard to go during the week, during the time, or, because you'd work all day and then you'd then you'd go to the pool, and I had to teach. So I might go Monday or Tuesday to get the general chow. I got hamburgers I'm eating, omelets, stuff like that. But that's it. No, I'll probably go during the week. All right. So now here's another update on de-dollarization from our friend Alligator.
Having a northern sea route, which they can utilize, which will be very efficient, sanction-proof. Essentially, now you can step up the de-dollarization process with less, with less kickback, with less pushback.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on this de-dollarization process? Obviously, China is not going to shoot themselves in the foot and dump the dollar at this point, but then you've got Putin and MBS really aggressively moving to de-dollarize. So what's your thoughts here?
Well, I think that is the point. I mean, first of all, Russia has taken over the BRICS presidency as of January the 1st. And in his New Year statement, Putin said that they have planned over 200 meetings and conferences for BRICS, which will be attended around Russia in this year of their presidency, finishing with the big meeting in, I can't remember the name of the place, it's sort of southern Russia, in October. So you can see that this is well planned. Now, we do know that last year Russia tried to get a new gold-backed currency, trade settlement currency, which I think actually is replacing the dollar in the middle of a transaction. Because as you know, if you're selling currency A to buy currency B, you sell currency A to buy dollars, you then sell dollars to buy currency B. So the dollar is the stepping stone in the middle. I think that's the bit they want to replace with gold. So it means that people will build up gold reserves and all the rest of it. And part of this, I'm convinced. I mean, these Russians know what they're talking about. Part of this, I think, is to drive down the value of the dollar once it is less accepted, if you like, as the international reserve currency, and gold is increasingly accepted as such in its place. So that, I think, was very much Russia's strategy as part of getting, killing America's power. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing is I saw a quote in a paper called The Cradle yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. The Iranian foreign minister was saying that they had discussed this at in the run-up to the last BRICS meeting, and they were still keen to introduce a new gold-backed trade settlement currency, and that will be on the agenda this year. So I think that the protestations that really came from India principally, I think that will be dealt with amongst these 200 meetings. I mean, the whole idea basically is to get the guys on side. And also attending those meetings, incidentally, will be the new candidates for the new round of BRICS joinees, as it were. So that, I think, is the way in which gradually gold is being seen to be replacing the dollar, if you like, coming back into the center of the international monetary system in its rightful place as the money which everybody accepts, and the money which prices everything evenly without very much fluctuation. I mean, if you look at the price of oil since 1950, oil in 1950, I think, was $2.50 odd a barrel.
Yeah.
In dollars, it's currently, I mean, WTI is 72 or something, having been up to 140 before the Lehman crisis, before that time.
Yeah.
And also, incidentally, being negative at one stage because of storage problems. But if you look at the price in gold, I mean, it has fluctuated, but the fluctuations, I think, have been as much due to disruption from the dollar as anything else. I think the most I've seen it up was 2.5 times from that 1950 level. Currently, priced in gold, the price of oil, I think, is down something like 20%. I haven't actually run the figures, in the last month or two, but that's the sort of level it is. So from 1950 to today, basically, in gold, the price is unchanged. This is actually what everybody wants. Who doesn't want it? Well, the guys who run the printing presses.
Exactly. The mafia.
But this is the reality of the situation, Andrew. And we are going to go back to gold. I mean, it's as simple as that. As far as I'm concerned, the quicker it happens, the better. I would like to make one other point, actually, which hopefully might sway some of the idiots entirely invested in credit. I think I'm right in saying that global funds are roughly $150 trillion. I'm talking about portfolios of bonds and equities, about $150 trillion worldwide. Less than 1% of that is invested in gold and gold mines. Gold mines are so out of fashion, despite gold being close to all-time highs in fiat currency. It's quite extraordinary. You wouldn't think an efficient market would do this. I mean, it's so crazy, but it's so out of fashion. Nobody likes mines. It's a dirty, horrid business, and also, if you're woke and all the rest of it, and you're into, banning fossil fuel. They consume so much fossil fuel. There's every argument for us not to get involved in these awful investments, awful businesses, but. Taking the physical gold and the miners, they're less than 1% of the total. So what happens when the fashionable sectors fall out of fashion? Well, the answer is that these fund managers are going to start looking at gold mines and gold. And under those circumstances, it's worth bearing in mind that a 1% increase in allocation to physical gold is the equivalent of over 23,000 tons. 23,000 tons.
Incredible.
That would take us to less than 2% exposure. We're not even talking about sensible levels in the past, which have been 5, 10, 15%. 2% requires an extra 23,000 tons at current prices. Where's it going to come from? Is this something which... is this something which you're not going to hold because you don't understand it? I mean, it's actually, these are the numbers that really matter, I think, when it comes to working out, the potential violence of the changes that we're likely to see in these markets.
So what he's saying is, and see, the problem is you don't see, if you buy gold like we do and silver, you don't see it in the portfolio. Because it's not, we don't write it down. We put it in our safe and nobody knows we have it. And that's how we want it. So it's kind of deceiving a little bit. But like my portfolio isn't included in there because it's not in stocks and bonds. It's only in gold and silver, 99% of me. The other 1% is in this stuff, which is not identified either. So in his point, it's kind of misleading. People with stocks and bonds and real estate trusts, attack on Wall Street guy, those are what they're showing. But of course, they're not going to show gold in them because they're not. I guess the only thing they would show is gold stocks. That's it. And that's what Luke's question is. Should I be selling my gold or buying gold stocks? The problem is nobody wants them. And if it's all this woke shit, nobody will buy them. There's no market for it. So again, if you can't, you can buy it, but if nobody else does, the stock price won't go up. You're fucked. You're better off just buying the gold and letting the gold go up, which it's going to go through the roof soon as they de-dollarize. So Russia and BRICS have the whole plan of we're getting rid of the dollar. So we don't have to have currency A to buy dollars, to sell to get dollars, to sell to get currency B. So that'll all be replaced by gold through BRICS. The problem is now there is nothing to replace the US dollar. So if I'm in Switzerland, I got my Swiss francs and I don't want to buy dollars to buy British pounds. I don't have a choice. There's really no other currency to use, so I have to use it. But if you have a gold-backed currency, I can use that and sell my Swiss francs to buy British pounds. I can sell them to buy gold and then sell the gold to buy the British pound. And that's where we're headed. But so right now, there is nothing else that you can go. So when you hear these idiots from the U.S. talk about, well, everybody's in the dollar, well, they have to be right now. And BRICS understands it, and Putin understands it, and that's what they're doing. That's why they're buying all the gold, so they can come out with this gold and say, you know what, you don't need this dollar that's worthless. You can change it into gold, and you can buy gold. So I know that's where we're headed, which can only raise the price of gold and silver. Again, silver's the chaser, it'll follow. And that's what's happening. So that's where this de-dollarization is. Now, as far as the portfolios, the stockbroker or the financial planner doesn't get commission by putting you in gold, first and foremost. So he's not. Maybe gold stocks he gets probably a commission for, but he's not going to put you in it because he's going to put you in Microsoft and Apple because they're the ones that are rigged, and he's going to get the most commission for them. So he's never putting you in a gold stock, and he's never putting you in a gold coins and the gold IRAs. That if you're not getting gold, it's like in a gold ETF. You avoid those. That's paper. That's not physical. You only want the fucking coin or the bar. You do not want an ETF or a stock or an IRA that says, "Oh yeah, you can't take physical of the gold, but it's in some place." Yeah, that's bullshit too. So be careful with that. But that's what he's saying. But I think as more people like us are buying gold and silver, it doesn't show on his radar. It only shows the actual stocks and bonds, not where are you counting physical gold, alligator. So that's his problem. He's not, you can't see that 100% of my portfolio is gold and silver, or let's say 99% of it. You can't see that. You can't see all this gold and silver in my safe. You're not seeing it because it's not in any type of portfolio that you're going to see. So that's the part he's missing. So I think there's a lot more than 1%. Plus, the more they inflate and the more money's out there, 1% becomes, less and less and less. A billion 1%, and then a trillion 1%, and now 100 trillion 1%. It's a whole different ball game. So he's a little bit off there. He's not quite sure. Anyway, so there was a mark. I got to get more into that. Let's see. What else was on this?
Something which baffles me, that the brightest minds you speak to sometimes, they keep saying, well, my house has gone up, the food's gone up. No, it's just the desk you sit at. Everything you touch and see is going to cost more debased dollars, pounds, euros to replace. And it's not that it's going up. It's the currency's going up. But people don't get that. No. It is something strange that they don't get that. Because as you say, get that in your head. Everything's simple. It becomes straightforward. You then look for the real asset, and there's only one real asset. Yep. There's only one money, and it is gold. And I think, obviously, if you can understand why, to a degree, why gold hasn't been promoted. I mean, if you're out of university, you've never seen a crash. You're trading you're a CTA, and you're trading the markets, and you've got your footprint everywhere. And essentially, well, gold doesn't pay you anything, So you focus, and you're in competition with everybody else. So
yeah, he doesn't get it. There's no commission on gold, so why would you say anything about it? But basically, that's what I keep saying to you guys. It's the money. That's why I show you that the dollar's worth 1 cent. The dollar's losing value, so it takes more dollars to buy a glass of water, right? With ginger, of course. Um, so basically, they kind of say it wrong, but it's the same. It's the same concept. It's Coca-Cola's not going up. Oreo cookies aren't going up. It just takes more dollars to buy it. That's the game. And all these people don't understand it. So they look at it as prices because it's priced in that, right? Oreos are $2, went to $3. Well, of course, the price of Oreos went up, which is true. It's going up, but it's because the dollar's losing value. It's really not. It's the same price, but it takes more dollars to buy. So instead of $2 to buy the Orioles, it now takes $3 to buy the Orioles. But because the dollar's worth less, $3 is worth what $2 used to be. And eventually it goes to zero. And that's what I tell Luke. Luke keeps hoping for 10%. I go, Luke, it's already at zero. And that's my point. It's already gone. The money can't be retrieved. It doesn't, interest rates don't do shit. If you print $20 trillion, that's inflation because you've created all these. It's like this card. There's no way you'd have to burn. What did they make? Let's say they made 1 million of these. So you'd have to burn 950,000 of these, and still you'd have 50,000, and they'd still have no value. Here we could buy all 50 of these if we could find them, and then burn 49, and then keep one, and we would have a 101 Mahomes card. That would make sense. But the other, so unless they're burning money, which they're not, you can't stop inflation because it's inflating the supply of the money. The money supply is up and value's down, and you can't. What does raising interest rates do? See, they think it's all costs. It's all Keynesian. So they think, well, if we raise interest rates, that raises costs, so you won't spend as much, and that'll lower the cost of something. And that's what I'm saying. The CPI doesn't measure inflation; it measures costs. Costs are not inflation. Inflating the supply of the money is inflation. Cost is an effect because it takes more dollars to buy it. These guys kind of don't get that either. Well, they kind of beat around the bush where they say, well, it's not prices going up, it's the money going down, but people don't see that. People only see the price because they go to the grocery store and they buy it. And that's why the price is going up, is because of the inflation where it takes more dollars to buy. But you can't, these guys don't know how to express it properly, that because of the inflation, it takes more dollars to buy. That's the problem. But what they also don't, eventually there won't be money. The money goes to zero because you've printed so much of it. Nobody wants it. And at the point nobody wants it, it's gone. And then gold will be priced in gold. It won't be priced in money. And that's really what's coming. So again, action and reaction. The action is inflation. Our reaction to that action is buy gold and silver and wait for this to go to zero. 99% of the people don't have a clue, and we'll wait till the boat's halfway sunk, like the Titanic, to start buying gold and silver. And at that point, it'll be so expensive you won't be able to get it, and there won't be any. I mean, that's the thing. Then they'll hold on to it, and it'll be 10 grand an ounce, and you won't have it, so you'll start buying silver. So either way, we're ahead of the games. Any updates on bricks? Yes. Okay, hold on. Let me go. I don't know. Does Alligator talk about it? Well, basically, he said that Putin's having these 200 meetings, right? And that's to get the gold-backed bricks by the third quarter. So what we know is by the second quarter, I shared this in another video.
Stop. Do not invest in another company until you hear about America's #1 retirement.
There'll come a point. Massive tool, huge volatility, gives the insiders a massive edge because they know that data well ahead of time. And of course, then we had the ISM data whipsaw action. What it did was it evidenced spot gold fixing on that Friday just $22.05 lower at 2056. And I'm just illustrating what I'm trying. It is illustrating these paper selling efforts simply drive gold into stronger hands. Every dip since then has evidenced strong central bank demand, as we're seeing again today. Had gold not been revalued, first-year asset class in January 2023, this purely synthetic chart-painted attempt to create a technically bearish setup for 2024 failed. And despite the follow-through attempts witnessing now to create a negative feel during this first few days of action, as again, we're recording this on Wednesday, our first-tier liquidity providers representing central bank and sovereign demand are salivating. However, while the officially driven chart painting attempt did serve to rinse out a very large supply of visible naked short CTAs, long stops, i.e. the longs, the reason the cartel failed to close lower for its year-end selling pressure was due to two major inputs, both of which will force discipline on the cartel through 2024, hence going through it. Now we do predict, I'll look at those in a sec, but we do predict the Fed will be forced to fold their naked short gold hand by the end of the second quarter, and very likely much earlier. Certainly, the moment any central bank leads the pack to revalue gold, which could happen. So, looking at these two conditions, this is following extensive meetings with our wholesale contacts. These are the two things that stand out the most. The first one being, it's not gone unnoticed that the concerted, officially driven paper market year-end rinse efforts had once more run into headlong into the sticky component of the CTAs that we had identified, who are increasingly turning to gold as a real asset first-tier alternative to US Treasuries. Now, that was something that was unheard of. And while the sticky component, and we're talking about the paper guys in the COMEX here, and while the sticky component of the House issued non-delivery futures market, long gold market open interest, i.e. the chips, that appear just as technically rinsable into the price-rigged dips below, their entry points, these real asset hedges are sticky and will not trigger the intended margin calls the House requires to gain downside traction. This is a change of behavior. And these borrowed, undeliverable COMEX long positions have been employed by an increasing percentage of these CTAs to do the job they were sought to do, namely providing an alternative asset class to hedge projected de-dollarization flows alongside alternative asset class alongside hedging their higher risk investments, all of which without exception are backed purely by debt. Most COMEX analysts have not factored this in when they weigh up the vulnerability of the open interest held by the speculator group against the House. They just take it at plain value. They think that every time that the commercials are on the long side and these CTAs are short, that that is actually the real picture. They're failing they're using old analysis. They're not factoring in that not all of this is, that some of this is not rinsable. And the second reason, and this is another major reason, central bank and sovereign physical gold demand throughout 2023 had built to unprecedented levels. Not just what was officially reported, but also the hundreds of tons of unreported monetary gold demand. And it's clear that the de-dollarization process is picking up steam. And what we witnessed into this politically sought non-farm payrolls headline beat last week provides a really good example of how the dollar spike higher, which directly followed it, was quickly exchanged for physical gold.
Hey, now, Andrew, talking about CTAs, you drew a lot.
The point I was trying to figure out there was that he's saying that the COMEX should blow up in the second quarter. That's what I got in my notes, so I must have just missed it. But that's what he's saying. As the demand for gold picks up, they won't be able to keep playing this game, at least with gold, probably with silver for a while. And so by the end of the second quarter, bricks is the demand for bricks and everything else. But there is on there. Let me get to this one should be better.
Offer out of in the COMEX. I mean, we have to keep this in mind when we digest this tool of the House. Interestingly, now these same market-making actors, they couldn't hide their long footprints in silver futures, and that was just on the Tuesday. And then by Friday, they'd rinsed out all of the other averages, the 50, the 200, the 100. I mean, basically, these are the pivot points where you know you're going to trigger any longs that were in there are leaping out. So you can just imagine how long they became. Bottom line, the LBMA bullion banks are long and strong in anticipation of an inevitable gold price revaluation event. And other than what they can offset against these CTAs in the casino, they're not going to risk any of their bullion holdings being put at risk.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that's amazing.
So what long means they're betting on the price to go up. So all the bullion banks are saying the price is going up in gold and they're holding on to these. That's what he was saying in English. Did you ever cook your seal on the other day? My seal. Did you ever I had salmon. Yes, I cooked my salmon. I never heard of seal before, but that's a new one. So yeah, I did. I ate it. I used the French dressing of Ken's to eat it. I made burgers the other day, and I'll get Chinese or barbecue just because I'm tired of cooking to get something new in me. But basically, that's it. All right, let's go. This is the gold revalue as
What are you seeing here if you take a further look out?
Earlier we touched on the Russia-driven BRICS chairmanship.
There you go,
that
Bobby.
took effect on the 1st of January, formalizing the platform really for Glasnev's gold-backed commodity currency to be brought forward. But we haven't even addressed the expanding Global South BRICS footprint. As of the 1st of January, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, United Arab Emirates, they've all now formally joined the BRICS group of major emerging economies. In effect, expanding the bloc's footprints in the Global South and growing its economic and political clout on the world stage, establishing a real counterweight to the Western-dominated G7. Now, this is as powerful a bullish for gold game changer as when gold became Basel III compliant on the 1st of January 1 year ago. Both were underestimated. Both were and are currently underestimated. And while gold, being formalized as a first-year asset class 1 year ago, raised the dollar price of gold by over $250, meaning that despite a year of official Fed interventions to cap gold during 2023, it ultimately cost $250 more of freshly printed dollars to buy the same fully paid for ounce. The story is about dollar debasement as benchmarked against gold, not gold rising in price at all. And as far as this year's estimates of how many more dollars it will take to buy the same ounce of gold have also been grossly underestimated, and a general consensus is a floor is being established at $2,500. And this is especially relevant given the current geopolitical escalations have accelerated Russia and China's endeavors to open up fresh sanction-proof trade routes, rapidly escalating the de-dollarization process.
Now, Andrew, at the very top of our list of questions in 2023 was de-dollarization. I know that over the holidays, you've been in extensive meetings with your global contacts. Can you give us an estimation of where we're at in this process?
Yes, Shane. Looking at this de-dollarization process, Taiwan escalations aside, it doesn't suit China right now to shoot themselves in the foot by invoking the nuclear option of openly dumping treasuries. But they're on record stealthily easing their oil trade out of the dollar into competing BRICS currencies. And while this is being played down by the news services, given the PBOC has stealthily and very conservatively accrued at least 35,000 to 40,000 tons of physical gold reserves, they would greatly profit from acting alongside Russia as a key gold liquidity provider to back the outlined BRICS gold-backed commodity currency. Now, the moment Glazniev's gold-backed currency is formalized, and our contacts promise us updates on this very soon, China will increasingly adopt this sanction-proof oil for gold trade. Currently, it's Russia's Putin and Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman who are leading the de-dollarization process. And given they are the key players in all of the energy complex, Pareto's law comes into play here. And as you know, Shane, we looked at this multi-trillion-dollar market in detail last year. But to give an idea of the scale of this gold energy complex, the global oil and gas market is worth 7,500 billion last year. And if you add in the 5,000 billion commodity and energy sectors, then the ultimate scale of the BRICS-driven de-dollarization process becomes clearer. Obviously, it's not happening overnight, but think about the scale of this. And our well-collected liquidity providers have assessed a minimum $3,000 per ounce. And this is not hard, actually, to estimate. And adding gold as a benchmark to create a basket of gold-backed currencies, gold-backed commodities, will enable the diversification of central bank reserve holdings, allowing these largely exporting emerging markets to gradually opt out of the increasingly weaponized SWIFT payment system. An alternative gold-backed currency becomes the only sustainable currency to benchmark a commodity price as to facilitate a liquid enough non-dollar trade between nations. And this is on the front burner right now. I think it's so missed. As the gold for commodity benchmark eats into this unipolar dollar-centric priced commodity market, it will accordingly require many more competing freshly printed dollars to buy the same ounce, kilo, ton, or dollar-denominated gold. And we're in close contact with our well-connected first-tier liquidity providers and our Russian refinery contacts, really to better assess how this will translate into a real physical supply-demand price and on what timescale. But what is clear is that the inherent Western cartel paper gold derivative game is ultimately going to implode. Nobody wants a claim on gold, a gold promise. They want the real thing. And Basel III regulations make access.
There you go, Bobby. So he goes on to say he sees gold bottom at 3,000. It'll go to 3,000, and then it'll go higher, with the bottom being about 3,000, but it'll go even higher. So COMEX is blowing up, that's for sure. Paper gold then blows up, and then we need silver to blow up, and then we'll be okay. So that's what he's talking about with BRICS and the paper gold and everything else. So yes, that's what's going on with Mark McGuire. See, when he has Alligator on, he talks. Alligator does more talking than that. That's probably Mark's biggest problem, is he's letting the guest do most of the talking, and that's the problem. If he knows 3,000, they should have interjection on it. Then he just sits there like he doesn't know what day it is, and the guest does it. Because if you don't like the guest, then the show's stupid, which is the problem with a lot of the Mark McGuire guests. It's different when he's got Alligator. All right, so we got 1:30. The game starts at 3 o'clock, I think. So I'm going to run and go swim because I don't want to miss the game. So I don't know if the game time is at 3 or 3:30. We will see. So I got back to that. I'll do some more economics only. Bobby, are you seeing that? I'm doing like an economics show or class by themselves, roughly about an hour every day. And then I'll do the sports one. But because football is down to 4 games and it'll be down to 2, there's not as much to talk about there. So I can do that, or I'll get back to this where I'll talk about both. But I want to hammer some like de-dollarization and Ponzi schemes and scams. There's one where I got the crypto queen doing this thing called OneCoin or $1. I think it's OneCoin, and it's fake. And she swindled the Russian mafia out of $16 billion and is now in hiding somewhere before they kill her. So she took 16 billion of the mafia's money. Is not a real good thing to do. Yeah, see, the only bad thing is that I keep missing it. Yeah, I've been doing them on weird times, but yeah, I'll try to get more of a 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock type of thing on them. Well, the reason I'm doing the short economic classes, if you notice the title, like one is Bitcoin versus gold and the Titanic and I just want to cover those areas briefly. I want to get the explanation out because these people don't understand it. So my goal is to do an hour one on these subjects, do an hour one, and then I'll get back to our normal. But this way, if people want to know, well, what is inflation? Because nobody knows. They all think it's the CPI, because that's what I keep hearing on the news. Oh, the CPI is down, inflation's down to 3%. It's like, you out of your fucking mind. It's 20%. You can't lower inflation with interest rates. That's not how you do it. You can only do it by burning the dollars and or backing it by gold, because it's basically, think about a balloon full of helium and you don't anchor it. It just goes into the atmosphere. And that's what happens. We took about anything and everything. Well, no, we still have that, and I'll still do that. By the way, did you eat spinach at all professionally, or just mainly broccoli? No, I mostly eat broccoli. I do eat spinach once in a while. It's good for you. I tend to eat red leaf lettuce as my base, and then I have red leaf lettuce and broccoli and red yellow peppers, mushrooms, and if I'm making a salad, I'll include cauliflower and celery. If I'm cooking, I won't put the lettuce in, and it'll just be the peppers, the mushrooms, and the broccoli, and onions if I want when I'm cooking. And then I throw the omelet in, and if I have chicken or hamburger, like I made hamburgers, so I could make a hamburger omelet, which I love later on. I don't know what I'm doing for dinner. I just feel like I want barbecue chicken. So but I don't want to go to the barbecue place today. Football's on, so I might go there for lunch tomorrow to the barbecue place after swim. But no, spinach is fine, and all that stuff is good. And that's what I noticed. I got to be careful. I started eating bananas, and I wasn't feeling that good. I couldn't figure out why. And then it's like I'm seeing that bananas are very high in carbs, so therefore very high in sugar. Like apples are like that. You got to be careful with those fruit. You got to be careful with most fruits, watermelon, cherries. So that's why you can have berries, but otherwise it's eat your veggies, and then obviously your meat. So they had salmon on sale, so I got that and I cooked that up. It was good. It was $10 a pound, Otherwise, they want like $16, $17 a pound because it's mostly the transportation of going out to the ocean and catching the salmon and bringing it back, and the shipping, where the meat is a little bit cheaper, I guess, or probably easier to get. Anyway, so that's kind of what you have. So I got some chicken. I don't know. I'll probably pull out chicken tomorrow, but I still have a few hamburgers left. I make like 9 hamburgers. I make like 3 pounds. This way I don't have to cook every day. So that gives me a couple for omelets and other things. Subham. Hey, I want to know, how may I contact you? Go to www.teaserking.com. It's in the description. And then you'll get my email. And in my email, then you can contact me through the email. So that's how. Just go to teaserking.com, go to the homepage. It gives my email, and you can email me. So tonight's games are, a toughie because you think Detroit emotionally will be there, but Tampa's not good at the defense. I think you are 50 plus. What does that have to do with anything? Whatever. You're welcome. So, this is where Detroit, you got to be careful. It's a playoff game, and the pressure's on, and they start choking, and that's what you'll have. So, you've got that. So it won't be that easy for Detroit over Tampa. And then KC Buffalo should be the best game. And Mahomes will show you why he's the champ, because in this game, here's how I envision it. They take the lead, right? They go up 10-3, and it's 10-7, it's 17-13, and they just hold on. And then maybe Buffalo scores real late, and then KC scores real late and wins it. That's my think of what happens. It'll be a close game. Kansas City's defense is exceptional, so look for that. Now, they did play in KC. That was the game that Tony lined up offsides. So even that was a 3-point game, but they're used to each other. So keep that in mind. So even though Buffalo won, that's not the game. You want to win this game, not that game. So anyway, buy your gold and silver. I know silver we probably have a little bit more time on because gold is Basel III, and they got to include it in the transactions. But now we have an idea that China's behind COMEX, and they're trying to keep the price down so they can buy for industrial use. However, it is also money. It's got a dual purpose. So it should come, it should be more expensive anyway because of the demand. A normal market, and again, that's why I say what a free market is what this card sells for on eBay, right? Oh, I get $5,000 for it on eBay. That's the free market, but you don't have that in gold and silver. And apparently, in all these commodities, they're derivative run to keep the price down. So I don't know who it benefits by keeping the price low. It doesn't really benefit you in economics. It's clearly you don't always want a low price. You want to make money if there's demand for it. So that's what we have. But so COMEX is about to blow up. Russia is coming out in the second quarter with a gold-backed ruble, and BRICS in the third quarter is coming out with the gold-backed BRICS currency. And again, the goal is to get rid of this dollar intermediate. So I have a Swiss franc. I want to buy British pounds. I can. I have to buy dollars, and then I have to sell the dollars for the British pound. The difference is when I go to Europe, I already have. So you're having another class. I don't know, because of the football games. I might not, but I'll have one tomorrow. But we'll talk football, and then we'll get into economics like this. So I don't think I will, just because I'll be into the games. And like I said, I'm going to go hit the pool quickly now. I think the game starts at 3 or something. So I don't think so, Bobby, but tomorrow for sure. I'll probably get the barbecue chicken for lunch, or the Chinese, but yeah, we'll do that. But basically, I'm going to go through more of the Mark McGuire interview. The Egon one was more nothing new, but Egon's going to start doing them weekly now. And then because Alligator was the guest on the Mark McGuire show, but we already had Alligator. He did these 2 shows, and really it's the same thing that he's talking about. And I've already done videos on one of those, but I can re-enter it into what we want. But basically, what he's talking about is people don't understand gold. They don't understand the dollar's collapsing. It's really the way people think. We know how to think. We see an action, we react to it. The boat hits the iceberg, we get onto the lifeboat. The dollar's collapsing, we buy gold. Whatever the action, we react to it. And that's really the key to it, is being smart and analytical and stoic. And that's what you're trying to do. So when something happens, you react to it. And that's it. So most people are just in a daze. They play their video games. They don't get anything. So they don't act and react. They don't react to actions. So they don't know. They see, the problem is they listen to they're not taught it anymore in school. I was taught this in 93, 94, 95. They don't have a lot of Austrian economist classes, so you can't really learn it. And the problem is, what I know is that if you print too much dollars, you inflate the supply, which lowers the value. I know that. Most people don't. So most people don't have a clue what inflation. They go, oh, it's prices going up, and well, the prices will adjust and go down because that's what they did in the past. And it's not the same. And it's got nothing to do really with prices. It's the effect of it, because you've ruined the dollar. You need more dollars until there's no more dollars, because there's no value in the dollars. Because once nobody wants it, and that's what the dollarization is, where it's used as the middleman. But once that goes away and they replace it with a gold-backed ruble or gold-backed BRICS, then there is no more dollar. So we know that going ahead. So we're reacting to it with gold and silver. That's the only action you can take. A little bit with the cards, as a Burrow or a Brady or a Mantle card, or Bobby Bow, of course. As you are starting, you can kind of buy assets, but you got to buy real assets that won't be affected by it. The problem is they're still priced in dollars. But what'll happen, like on your house, it'll then get priced in gold. So you're in dollars, your house is worth $500,000. Oops, it's now worth $0. But then it gets priced in gold. The money in your bank you get fucked with. You got $500,000 in your bank, it's worthless, and you won't get gold for it. It'll be priced. It'll go to $0, and you'll have $0 in your bank account. That's the problem. That's what we're trying to create, the effect that when you're seeing this inflation, which is the money supply, not the prices, you'll get out of the one thing that you can't afford to lose, which is your dollars, and you'll get into gold and silver, which will go up. They won't go down. They will be the ones that survive because they are real money, real assets, and you can't inflate them. You can't print gold and silver like you print dollars. That's the whole theme of what we're talking about here. So we show different things about markets and we show different things, economics, but basically, paper gold. So they scam you a lot. So there's paper gold. Well, that's not the real price of gold. The real price is physical gold. You want physical. You don't want ETFs, stocks, or these derivatives. You want the real physical gold in your hand in your safe, not the paper gold. And you don't want Bitcoin because it's not backed by gold and we don't know what it is, and it could easily get the plug pulled on it. It's an investment like a penny stock. That's how you must think of Bitcoin. It's not going to save you when the dollar goes out. Bitcoin's not going to save you. Gold is the only thing that can save you. So there's only one out, only one option, gold and silver. Well, same thing. It's money. That's your outs. That's it. There's nothing else. So keep that in mind. You wanna react to what's happening. And so that's the logical part. Most people don't even know what's happening, and therefore they're not reacting. It's like the Madoff's Ponzi scheme, right? People, I thought they probably figured something like that was happening, but they didn't think it would end. So here's Madoff doing his little Ponzi scheme, but you're getting paid for it. Every month he's giving you 15%. So you're like, okay, that's fine then. He's giving me 15%. I don't care how he's getting the money, but it better not stop. And then when it stopped, everybody's crying, oh my God, oh my God. Well, what did you think he was doing? And how did you think you were getting this money? So that's a different thing, because you voluntarily gave your money to Madoff, and he gave you money. He gave you 15% every month. So you really can't bitch. He ran out of money. Okay, the game's over with. Hopefully, if you gave him $100,000, you got your $100,000 back, and that depends on when you got in with Madoff. But your father, who gave you this, made his money on it. So, but don't act so surprised. But understand the action reaction. The action was the housing crisis was causing everybody to need their money, and he didn't have enough for everybody to. He could deal with a few people needing it, but he couldn't deal with everybody needing it. So if you would have seen this housing market and understand it was a Ponzi scheme, which you probably could have, then you would have asked for your money before and gotten out, and you'd have been fine. Like Attack on Wall Street guy, the real estate trust, if you knew it was based on phony mortgages where the people had no credit or no jobs and were getting mortgages, as you hear about it in 2007, you get out of the real estate trust. You react to what's going on. People are failing to pay their mortgages. React, take it down. But people don't react to the action, right? They see the action, they don't know how to identify it or call it, and then off they go. So that's really the problem, is the reaction to the action that's happening. We hit an iceberg, we're going to sink. That should take you 2 seconds. Jesus, the water's going to come in, the boat's going to sink. Let's go to the lifeboats now. That should be an automatic, but that's how you need to think about everything. But you need to understand it, right? So, if the quarterback gets hurt, I don't want to say anything for today, but let's say Lamar gets hurt next week, they're probably going to lose, right? They're probably going to go to their backup. So that's the reaction to it. But that's kind of hard because it's during the game. But that's what you need to understand is what's happening, and then how do you protect yourself if you're risking. So the stock market, you got to be out of your mind to be in the stock market. It's crashing because $130 trillion of U.S. is outside the U.S. system. It's held by foreigners, Germans, Russians, Chinese, Swiss. And when they realize the dollar is going out of value, they're going to sell it all because they don't want to be stuck in US dollars, and then they'll put it into Swiss francs or rubles or yuan or whatever it is. And so everybody's going to sell all their stocks and all their houses. It will be a crash. There's not a question of maybe. It's going to happen because of the dollar, the inflation, making the dollar worthless. And I got money in dollars that I'm going to pull them out and put them back into my own Germany or Switzerland or France or Italy, wherever I live, that I have my money in US dollars, because it was better than the euro or my countries. Now people are realizing the dollar's worthless. The Russians have realized it, the Chinese and the Saudi Arabias. They got oil, they want to sell, they want gold for it. They don't want dollars for it. And I don't know what the U.S. is doing with all these wars, but it looks like that war and with Russia is over with, and Russia won, and they're signing papers, but there's no U.S. person there. Zelensky's not there, so they need to make it official. So that'll be it. Anyway, that's what that's what you need to start thinking like. You have to be stoic and ask the question, why is gold 2,000 an ounce when everything else is going up? Why isn't it going up? Oh, it's COMEX. Oh, COMEX is cheating and keeping the price down. Oh, and is that going to keep going? No, it's blowing up. Oh, okay. So I can get it really cheap and it's going to go real high. Oh, okay. Now I understand. So you need to understand the games that are being played. You need to understand football or poker or whatever it is you're playing for entertainment, and you got to be careful. But if you think you got 300 grand, 500 grand in a bank and you're going to retire, you have no chance. Soon it'll be worthless and you won't be retiring. So the way out of that is to buy gold and silver. So it's a very easy thing once you understand it. The keys, you got to be open and minded enough to understand the problem. That's what you're trying to do. Anyway, I am off to the club and be back for football game because the club closes early today. But anyway, we'll go from there. All right. Here's the crypto queen who stole all the money. She stole billions and then ran away to the point where nobody knows where she is. And the funny part about this is I got my thing blocked because this is Vice News. It's like I'm not allowed to play their stuff on YouTube, so they flagged it. So with this DW documentary, I think I can do that. So once in a while, I'll show a wrestling match, and it'll get blocked in Russia for some reason, but not here. So that video got blocked, so I had to delete it. So usually I'm okay with that. Like what I just showed you today is not. Those guys don't care. They probably want me to show it because they want people to understand. See, people like me want to protect people because we feel it's unfair that they don't teach it anymore, and everybody's getting the wool pulled over their eyes. And I'm Justice, like in The Batman, and I'm basically like saying, no, that's not right. You have to understand it. Now, if you choose not to buy gold and silver, that's your prerogative. But now you know your money's worthless. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's trying to at least make people aware of how they're getting screwed, and then hopefully they do the right thing and they don't get screwed. And that's why I'm warning everybody. Otherwise, I do football and do my pick. So again, my pick, Detroit 27-17 over Tampa, Kansas City 23-20 over Buffalo. All right. Have a good day, everybody. I'll be on tomorrow. I might go to lunch get my boneyard, my barbecue, and be on at 2. I'm not sure, but I do have a craving for that. But Sundays are not a day to go because the games are on. So, and it's about a 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive. All right. Well, have a good day. Good luck on the games. We'll clean up this Mark McGuire and Alligator ones that we watched today, and I'll get a little bit more timing on it. But anyway, so have a good day. Good luck, everybody, and enjoy your weekend. All right, it's supposed to be warmer next week. All right, take care. www.teaserking.com. Good luck on the games.